Hello everyone, GK here. After seeing people enjoy our Mario Party 1 minigame tier list, I decided to make a rapid-fire review of all the Mario Party 1 minigames. I won't go into detail about how each of these games work, instead I'm going to focus on my opinions of them. Each game will be covered within 1 to 3 sentences and given a lettered tier. That includes an S tier for outstanding games and a pain tier, which is going to be unique for Mario Party 1, and I'm sure you all know why. I'm going to rate them on how they would fit in the overall game's meta. That is to say, otherwise good and fun games could get a lower rating if they are particularly unbalanced. I won't compare the games that reappear in Mario Party 2, as that will usually just boil down to done better in 2. I'll try not to harp on the generally awkward controls of the Nintendo 64, but for some games, it's going to be unavoidable. Of course, this should go without saying, but this is all purely my opinion. In fact, when doing the tier list with my crew on Twitch, we diverged quite a bit on some of the games. But let's get into this with the 4-player games. Buried Treasure. Starting off with a very middle-of-the-road game here, kind of fun, but can often be ruined when the chest is placed very close to one particular player over the others. C. Treasure Divers. This one's a step up. The chests are spread out enough so that all players have a pretty even chance of getting some for themselves. It can also incentivize some risk-reward strategies. B. Pop Ba Bomb. Great example of a simple but effective game, although the simple controls here can turn this into sort of a button masher, plus the nature of the game can allow all other players to target one specific player. But I'll leave that up to you if that's a good or bad thing. B-. Musical Mushrooms. First game of the list I would consider a dud. Once you realize you can get on the center mushroom with one jump, this makes this a rather senseless kind of game. D. Crazy Cutter. The awkward controls and questionable scoring accuracy hurts this game a bit, but you have to appreciate the level of concentration you'll have to have for this one. C. Facelift. This one can be quite enjoyable and amusing. The scoring seems a bit more accurate than Crazy Cutters, plus I have to give this bonus points for being a reference to the Mario 64 opening. B. Balloon Burst. I may be biased, but I consider this one a classic. With a crew of people of similar skill, it can be quite intense and kind of hard to judge who's going to win by the end of the game. A+. Coin Block Blitz. A very simple and average game where all players can usually get some amount of coins. The 1 versus 3 version of this game is considerably better. C. Skateboard Scamper. I'm not crazy about this one. Being on rails with rather predictable obstacles makes this one kind of a slog for me. D+. Box Mountain Mayhem. Quite a chaotic but fun game, can sometimes challenge your ability to react and to decide whether or not to interfere with other players or to play passively. C+. Platform Peril. I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this one, but I find the isometric camera and weird momentum of jumping a little off-putting for this game, but still fun. C+. Mushroom Mix-Up. Iconic, and for me, the far and ahead best minigame of Mario Party 1, and a contender for one of the best minigames of the entire series. S. Grab Bag. This one has a very interesting meta, given that the only coins in play are the ones the players already have on them. At least one player is gonna get screwed over here. B+. Bumper Balls. This one is heartbreaking. It's fun and could have been an easy S, but due to the fact that it almost always ends in a draw makes this game pointless. C+. Tipsy Tourney. Another intense skill-based fight similar to Balloon Burst. Who can master the somewhat janky controls and get ahead to win this game? B+. Bombs Away. One of the few games where all players have to act defensively. Despite sometimes questionable hitboxes on the explosions, I still consider this top tier. S. Mario Bandstand. Why they would make a 4-player game and give one player a considerable disadvantage is beyond me. On top of that, the game itself is boring and lame. D-. Shy Guy Says. Another classic. This is peak concentration and reaction-based gameplay. The occasional bait and switch bumps the skill ceiling up for this. Also, high sloppy bird outline. S. Castaways. I find this incredibly unsatisfying and just a slog to get through. If you're good, you can usually make a lot of coins on this, but at what cost? D-. Keep away. The general concept of a co-op minigame in Mario Party is kind of an odd one, and I'm not really into the idea. Regardless of your stance, this minigame is just too simple and easy to be notable. D-. Running of the bulb. Another co-op game, but done a bit better and a bit more fun. Though I'm biased against games like these. D. Hot rope jump. Simple but effective. Though initially it can be kind of hard to judge the flame hitboxes, once you get into it, it becomes an intense survival game. A. Hammer drop. A fun coin game requiring good positioning and reactions from the players. B+. Slot car derby. Iconic. Although there's a bit of a learning curve, I admire the raw skill involved to win this one reliably. Plus, it's the only Mario Party 1 game with variation because of the 2 different tracks. S. Yoshi's Tongue Meeting. This does not live up to the name. If it was fully functional and part of the original game, it would be a very boring timing-based game. D. And now we move on to the 1v3 games. We're going to notice quite a bit of team imbalance, but that is something that's part and parcel of the entire Mario Party series. But let's get on with it. Pipe Maze. This should have been a one-player game. As it stands, it's boring, and the 3 literally do nothing during this Garbaggio game. I'll let Lee give the rating for this one.
I think this minigame is stupid and a waste of time. F.
Bash and Cash. Really fun for the 3, but quite painful for the 1. Despite having no means to gain money as the 1, skillful players can reasonably dodge the 3, but this would have been better off as an exclusive Bowser event. B-. Bowl Over. Kind of a fun premise, but awkward controls and somewhat lower stakes drags this one down a bit. D+. Coin Block Bash. This minigame acts more like a 4-player game, but with the 1 starting with an advantage. I personally love this idea, and I wish it was explored in future Mario parties. Fighting over the hammer can make for a fun time. A-. Tightrope Treachery. An overly long game that has a huge advantage towards the 1. For the 3, being able to aim properly is quite annoying. And for the 1, every time you lose, you feel cheated. F. Crane Game. The fact that the 1 could potentially steal 1/3 of the total coins of another player can add heavy stakes to this game, but that is situational, and only one of the 3 has a chance of even doing anything. C-. Piranha's Pursuit. Very thematic and well presented, but the level of coordination required for the 3 makes the only feasible way to win is if the 1 makes substantial mistakes. C. Tug-o-War. Oh boy, here we go. Good concept for a game. Gameplay? Not so much. Pain? Paddle Battle. Geez, at least Tug-o-War has the courtesy of potentially being a short game. Pain. Coin Shower Flower. This is going to be a tough one to place. For the 1, it's fun. For the 3, it's irritating fighting over the table scraps. The fact that the 1 can easily get over 30 coins makes this one extremely unbalanced. F. And now we get to the 2v2s, which for Mario Party 1, there's only 5, which is really a shame, and in longer games, you're going to be seeing these repeat quite a bit. Bobsled Run. Really fun race that doesn't succumb to runaway victories. Also, the game won't be ruined if you're paired with a lower skilled player. Wins will always still be possible. S. Desert Dash. Basic, boring, and monotonous. Whenever you screw up, it never feels right. D. Bomb Skip Ball. Okay, I understand this is a completely personal problem, but I just don't get this game. I can't understand what you're supposed to do. F. Handcar Havoc. For what it is, it's a surprisingly deep mashing race where you have to balance your speed with being able to make turns without falling. Plus, I'm biased in favor of mashers. A. Deep Sea Divers. The only minigame in Mario Party 1 where each team member does something different. Despite the player on the boat having to spin their stick, this one is still fun, requiring good coordination from both players. A. And now we get to the single player games. The only thing you can get here are coins. In Mario Party 2 and 3, these got replaced with shorter item minigames to be less of an interruption of the flow of the turn before being phased out entirely in future installments. Memory Match. Stupid. F. Slot Machine. Although you can time this one, I find slot machines senseless and boring. D. Shell Game. This is easy, but not insultingly so. C-. Ghost Guess. I love the presentation of this one. Even though this is reasonably easy, I just don't find it satisfying. D-. Pedal Power. Oh hey, it's the game that gave me a blister as a kid. Pain. Whack-A-Plant. Another otherwise decent game that gets ruined by how game-breaking it is. To put it in perspective, getting 25 coins is considered poor performance. F. Ground Pound. Who finds this even remotely challenging? What is this? Baby's first game? F. Teetering Towers. Kind of a fun little platforming game, but the janky controls and terrible jumping momentum kills it. C-. Knock Block Tower. I just don't like this one. It also makes for a bad beginner's trap, as you have to know to move towards the final chest, and to not punch it. D. Limbo Dance. This is my favorite one-player game, requiring good rhythm to win this one. B. Same Game. A basic puzzle game that requires some forethought to win, but personally I'm not too into it. C+. And those are the games. I know I'm probably going to get some flack for some of my opinions here, but I would love to know what you all thought of this, and I would also love to hear where you would place some of these games differently than me. Do you think I was overly strict on some, too lenient on others, or was I mostly on point? Follow me on Twitch where I play Mario Party every Wednesday and Friday, as well as an assortment of other games throughout the week, such as Fall Guys and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Links down below. We will slowly but surely make more tier list streams for the rest of the Mario Party series. The VODs for those will be uploaded to my VOD channel. Although if you guys enjoyed this kind of video and you don't want to wait for us to make the tier list first, let me know and I can make these videos a regular thing ahead of the tier list. Another option at some point in the future would be to make a review of all the Mario Party boards. If that's something you would all like to see sooner rather than later, then please let me know. And you all have a good one.